Hey everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Paranormal Stories. First up we have Oppressive Sensation When Entering a Space by Random Q 1982. I am looking for people who can identify with how I feel. If you do, please share. So when I enter spaces, I just get a feeling as if something bad once happened there and residual energy was left behind, imprinted in the ether. Sometimes it is someone's home I visit. Other times it's a commercial building like a restaurant or a shop I patronize. It can even be an outdoor area, like a clearing in the forest or a spot in a city park or even certain areas of several different industrial facilities I've done maintenance and remodeled work at over the years. The uneasy sensations I get have at times given the impression that a murder took place there. But other times it feels like a deeply profound sadness, like hopelessness and betrayal, or extreme pathological anger like rage or rancor. I used to think I would make up stories as a coping mechanism, as to concoct empathetic scenarios of things once happened in a place that would explain these sensations. I would actively try not to at one time in my life, but that would make it worse. A mindfulness exercise I learned seems the best option, and dispels most of these notions, but not all of them. I am fully open to the possibility, both the compulsion to form stories and feelings that prompt these stories may all be in my head. I suppose some examples would help. I attended a low-key house party at the home of a friend's friend. It was in a middle-class subdivision that had been, by my estimation, built in the early 60s or early 70s. For some reason, I was mentally overcome with the phrase bad water, but all one word, like it was a name. It felt like the land had not been acquired honestly, like someone, like a farmer, had been misled and cheated by a developer. I felt the land, a home that was once nearby, the farm, had once represented such promise and hope, had soured rotten of betrayal and misfortune. Like an untimely death of a child, followed by a mother's suicide, both committed to an improperly consecrated grave that may exist nearby, forgotten. Part of it even felt older still. Like a place the Algonquin people, that once called the greater area home, would avoid for a reason lost to time. A forbidden place. The lights inside the house seemed barely equal to the task of overcoming an ever-present darkness. Another was a house. The one my ex really wanted to buy, where we would start a family. There was just this bad juju this place had. It did not help the master bedroom was painted a deep crimson red that later took us 3 coats of primer before it stopped showing through. The couple we bought it from had a very young daughter with a terminal condition who later passed away after we moved in. My ex insisted they did not feel the same vibes from the house, but they seemed depressed by it to me later. And talking about it only ever led to quarreling. Every room felt like a resignation of acceptance that love that once existed was gone, and a frustration over no clear path to move on. A local historical society was asking for a look at property abstracts of local residents for research. Compelled to help out, I reached out, and a few days later a person came to the house with a digital camera to take images of the abstract. The person immediately commented it was thicker than usual when they saw it. As they flipped through the pages, they seemed audibly surprised at times. Admitting I had never looked at it, I asked if there was anything interesting. "More sad than anything," they whispered, before thanking me and leaving. Curious, I began looking through it. It turns out the property had been the primary focus of a dispute in a long, messy, and expensive divorce. This obviously didn't help the feelings I associated with the house. It's not always bad, never overtly good, neutral at best. At a processing mill I was installing new equipment in, there was a man. I couldn't see him, but it was like a matter-of-fact thing, just making the rounds, keeping an eye on the levels of a problematic dual recirculating system, and recording the number and taking samples, but direct dipping the way they used to do, not with the enclosed capsule method that was installed before my time, maybe 30 years ago. He was just there, still working. Oh, that would be awful. I just nodded, regarding him friendly, like as I would any other plant guy I could actually see with my eyes. Wasn't always there. He'd take a break, maybe go home, and return again to work his shift. Okay, if I die, I'm not going to keep making videos for you people. I'm going to Disneyland. He'd even come over by me to take a look at what was going on. He seems happy there, so this one made me grin more than anything. Does any of this resonate with anyone? Please share. Story number 2 is I think my partner might have a spirit attached to him. Strange things have followed him for years. My decent present 2530. Hey everyone, I'm posting this because I honestly don't know what to think anymore. My partner and I have been together for 3 years and lived together for 2. And it feels like weird, unexplainable things have been happening around him long before we met. And they've only continued since we've been together. When he still lived with his parents, strange things would happen there pretty often. But after he moved out, everything stopped, at least for a while. Then, once we moved in together, it all started up again. The first thing he ever told me, from back when he still lived with his parents, one night he had a nightmare and woke up to see a woman standing in his doorway. He said she was wearing a white sundress, almost like a spring dress. The next day, his dad told him he had a dream that same night about a woman standing over my partner while he was sleeping. And she matched the exact same description. That was before my partner even told him what he saw. Another time, my partner and his dad were downstairs in the basement playing darts, when one of those kids' light-up toy cars suddenly turned on by itself and rolled across the floor. No one else was home. No windows open. No reason it should have moved at all. When we finally got our own place together, things didn't stop. About a week after we got our first dog, my partner left on a business trip, and I was home alone one night. Out of nowhere, our dog started barking and growling at our upstairs closet. I tried to calm him down, even closed the closet door, but he just kept barking at it like something was still there. I eventually had to roll up a blanket and shove it under the floor just to get him to stop. Then within the same week, things escalated. I started working third shift at a nursing home, so my partner was home alone a lot at night. Our townhouse is pretty open. The kitchen and living room are connected, separated only by a counter. He told me one night while he was sitting at his desk gaming, he heard a noise and turned around just in time to see 3 bags of chips fly off the fridge and land near the oven about 6 feet away. About an hour later, he said the laundry basket that sits on top of the dryer flew off on its own and landed about a foot in front of it. And just a few nights after that, something even weirder happened. We usually sleep with the light on in our room, sometimes even the closet light. That night, we forgot to close the closet door. My fiancé said he woke up in the middle of the night, rolled over to check his phone, and from the corner of his eye saw something or someone standing in the corner of the closet, peering out at him. When he blinked, it was gone. At this point, I can't tell if it's the house, something attached to him, or something else entirely. But it's always around him. Story number 3. The Thing We Saw at the Stop Sign, by Infinite Mortgage. 62. This happened back in 2018, and to this day I still think about it way too often. My boyfriend and I were coming back from a friend's house late at night around midnight. I want to make it really clear, before I even start, we were 100% sober. No alcohol, no drugs, no lack of sleep. Just 2 regular people heading home after a normal night. At that time, my boyfriend and I didn't live together, so he was driving me home to my old place. The area I lived in was really wooded, big trees everywhere, barely any streetlights. To get to my street, you had to stop at a sign right next to the neighborhood playground, a fenced-in pool, and then a stretch of dark woods behind it. That stop sign ended up being the longest stop of my life. We pulled up to the sign and just sat there. Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed movement. At first I thought maybe it was someone walking near the playground, but when I turned to look, I honestly didn't know what I was seeing. There was something standing there, tall, like at least 8 feet tall. It looked like a person at first, but then I realized it had massive wings or some kind of flaps hanging from its arms. The wings weren't like bird feathers, more like leathery sheets that caught the light weirdly. It was standing upright, kind of hunched, like it didn't belong in its own body. It turned its head slightly, like it was looking toward the right side of the pool, and then it started running. The way it moved was wrong. It was fast, like way faster than any human could run, and in one motion it leapt over the fence surrounding the pool. The whole thing looked effortless. It just cleared the fence and kept going until it disappeared into the woods. I froze. I didn't say a word. I didn't even breathe. Then my boyfriend, without me saying anything, spoke in the calmest but most terrified voice I've ever heard. He said, "Yes, I saw it too." That's when I knew it wasn't in my head. We both saw the same thing. After that, he slowly started driving. He dropped me off at my house, which unfortunately backed up to the woods. I could tell he didn't even want to walk me to the door, and honestly, I didn't blame him, but he did anyway. The entire time, we both kept glancing at the tree line, half expecting to see something standing there, watching. We didn't talk much that night after he left, but for days afterward, we kept bringing it up, trying to make sense of it. What was it, a person in a costume? Some kind of animal? Neither of us could come up with a single explanation that fit what we saw. To this day, no one believes us. Family and friends just laugh it off or say we must have been tired or mistaken. We know what we saw. It was real. Every time I drive that intersection, even now I get this awful, sinking feeling like something still lingers there. Whatever it was, I don't think it wanted to be seen. Story number 4 is Strange Things Happening Since I Moved Into My Boyfriend's Apartment by Queen Amphetamine. When I moved into my boyfriend's apartment, everything started to fall apart, literally. Right before I was supposed to move in, a pipe in the kitchen and the bathroom cracked and flooded the apartment below us. We lived for about 7 months with an actual hole in the wall and a kitchen that could not be used at all. Oh, no thank you. Since the beginning, I have been feeling really uneasy, especially in the bathroom and in the hallway leading to it. Sometimes I feel like someone is watching me there. Once, I even felt as if someone pulled on my pants while I was about to undress. It scared me so much. The bedroom is no better. It turned out that water from the roof gutter leaks directly onto the wall. I often feel like someone is walking there or just standing and watching. Lately, things have become even weirder. The bathroom light is often on, even though nobody has been inside. I keep hearing tapping sounds near the metal trash can. Sometimes, when I sit on the toilet scrolling through TikTok, I pause the video to wash my hands. And while my phone is out of reach, it starts playing again on its own, or even scrolls to the next video. The bathroom also gets extremely cold for no reason. Even though it is a small room, the heating is on and the window is closed. There are also strange sounds in the kitchen and living room. Sometimes I hear the TV playing, but when I walk in, it is completely off. Sometimes I hear the sound of glasses clinking as if someone has flicked them with their fingers. Things fall or make noise for no reason, yet when I check, everything is in its place. I have also been having disturbing dreams. In one dream I saw ghosts walking in a line toward the wall in our bedroom. Then they turned around and walked back in the direction of the bathroom. I was laying in bed and watching myself sleep, standing behind me. In another dream I was floating in the air, paralyzed in a strange, twisted position, with one hand stretched out, and a smoky hand appeared out of nowhere and pulled my fingers. My partner and I are honestly scared to go to the bathroom at night. We usually leave the door open and the light on in the hallway when we have to use it. Any advice on this case? Despite moving places? And the 5th and final story today is my lifetime of unexplained paranormal experiences. Is this proof of the supernatural? By W.D.W. Thunderbolt. I decided to compile everything in one post. I'm 23, from Brisbane, Queensland, and these events happened between ages 2 and 21. They escalated over time, and all stopped when my dad left after my parents' divorce. I've tried to explain them naturally, but the core ones defy physics and science. I'll break it down chronologically. What do you think? Demons, ghosts, or just my imagination? Starting when I was 2. A battery-powered animatronic sunflower toy. Jemmy, Sunny the Singing Sunflower. Yellow petals, blue felt vase base, green stem with dancing leaves. Sang, "You are my sunshine," at night by itself. I was terrified and immediately called for my parents. My memory is hazy on the exact details, but the parts ingrained in my memory are clear. My dad came in and removed the batteries. Over a period I was awoken screaming because the flowers sang again. Please don't take my sunshine away. Fast forward several years, and a different house entirely. I found the flower again in a box. I personally made sure there were no batteries in it. It still gave me the creeps, and I didn't want to hear it, but it was a special childhood toy, so my mum didn't want to throw it out. One night I was woken by the song coming from the playroom of the new house. I was terrified but determined to stop it, so I got out of bed, ran to the playroom. I heard it singing clearly and on tune the whole way there, and when I got there it was moving as well. I say that to rule out residual charge, etc., because small residual charges and static electricity don't provide anywhere near enough power to run the toy for a minute or so. I ran over and kicked it hard. It stopped singing. I immediately removed the battery compartment again, confirming there were no batteries. It freaked me out so badly, and I went back to bed, staying awake for several hours, trying to calm down. My mum threw it out several months later after experiencing the same thing. It went off without sound or power. The next event, I was 8 or 9. I woke up one morning to my CD player blaring a morbid sound saying my parents' names in a minor key. I ran terrified to their room. I can still hear the tune to this day, and it freaks me out just thinking about it. They told me I was imagining things. Perhaps I was. But it would have had to have been a vivid, wakeful dream that continued into wakefulness as I walked across the room to the CD player before it stopped shortly after. This one happened at a third house, sometime between ages 13 and 15. I awoke one night to maniacal laughing outside my window. My bed was just below it, so it was right next to me. It sounded like those evil scientists' laughs, but much deeper and more malicious. I jumped up, grabbed my torch, and shone it out of the window, but saw nothing. I ran to my parents' bedroom and woke my dad. He searched the property and then walked up the street with the torch and found nothing. It could have been neighbors making a noise, but it felt really weird. The next incident happened when I was around 15, just before we moved out of the next house. I was up late around 2 to 4 a.m., in the media room just inside the front door, watching a Lego stop-motion animation of the World War II Pacific invasion. Specific detail etched into memory. I then heard heavy footsteps pounding from the front door to right behind the computer chair. I spun around thinking it was a robber or an intruder, but there was nothing there. I immediately sprinted to my room and prayed like hell for God to keep me safe. Eventually, I felt peaceful enough to sleep. Then, the last house before my parents divorced and my dad left, ending all of these strange phenomena, was the scariest and most consistent. This happened nearly every night from ages 17 to 21. Around 12:30 a.m., I would hear heavy footsteps thumping up the hallway from the kitchen to my parents' room. They came from the end of the house nobody slept in, and ended in their room. Some nights it terrified me so much I hid under my blankets and prayed. Other nights, when I felt braver, I got out of bed to check. Each time everyone else was asleep with the lights off. The only person heavy enough to make those footsteps was my dad, and he had sleep apnea and taped his mouth shut. Oh dear. Given how quickly I checked on multiple occasions, he could not possibly have had time to get out of bed, walk to the hallway, and tape his mouth before I was there. This also ignores the fact that I heard him walk down the hallway, only the footsteps coming back. Here's where it gets really strange. A few years after my parents split, I brought this up with my sister, and she was freaked out because she had been seeing things at the same time of night. She's 5 years younger than me. She used to see a black, shiny, mannequin-esque figure standing above my dad's bed just watching him. From her room, she had a straight, uninterrupted view of his bedside, and he didn't sleep with the door closed. Occasionally, she said it would sort of teleport or glitch toward her room, and then described praying to God for protection, after which it would immediately teleport back to standing above my father. She told me she would try to prove it was a dream by checking the time on her iPad or watching YouTube videos. She described feeling peace after praying and being able to fall asleep. But despite that, it still appeared every night around 12:30 a.m. Lastly, an experience that I had in that same house happened on at least 5 occasions. I would wake in the morning with a slowed sense of time. Everything felt slowed down, though I was still moving at normal speed. My voice sounded in slow motion, and when I picked up my phone to test whether it was a dream or lingering tiredness, the music and videos I played also sounded warped and slow. I couldn't think of what to do but pray. As soon as I prayed to God to rebuke Satan and send his angels to watch over me, my senses returned to normal. This happened at least 5 times, and never again after my dad left. I wasn't on any medication or drugs, and I have never touched alcohol to this day. I don't have a logical explanation for what happened, but I thought I'd share to see if anyone has similar experiences or radical explanations. I see how some events could have natural explanations, but the flowers singing and moving with no power source, experienced by Mom and me. Honestly, I'm sure I've heard another story where that happened as well. It could have been those things were just faulty. The footsteps corroborated by my sister's sightings, and the time distortions that stopped instantly with prayer have me baffled. Not to mention, everything stopped the day my father moved out. I have my own beliefs about what it was, but I'm interested in yours. Has anyone had similar experiences? For me, prayers worked. Maybe that's the key. Thanks for listening. Happy to answer any questions you have. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Big thanks to everyone who allowed me to use their stories. If you'd like to support the channel, you can sign up for my Patreon page, which is linked down in the description. $1 or more a month, whatever you're comfortable with, gets you early access to the videos on Monday. There's also a link to my merchandise store on Teespring, as well as links to my Discord and my threads. Let me think. Oh yes, if you do need to contact me for any reason, that's kingofthecities@gmail.com. That's also written out down in the description if you need to see it written out. If you need to contact me for a story, if you have business inquiries, or you would like a shout out, that's how you get that done. I think that's everything for now. Yep. Going to skip the question of the day today because it's getting late. So until next time, thank you very much for watching, and take very good care of yourselves. Bye bye.